What's the good word, everybody? It's Barack Little, strength coach, personal trainer, instructor at Show Up Fitness, but most importantly, here to help you pass the CSCS exam as quickly as possible. Not only do we help you prepare to take the exam in 2 to 3 months tops, but we also implement other things such as advanced programming to help you with the applied part of coaching. You'll see that in this sneak peek if you keep watching. In this one, we go over programming for a skateboarder. Check it out. Make sure you click the link and subscribe below.
This round of CSCS exam prep. We're going to be going just so everybody's up to date. This week, you should be covering chapters 7 through 10. So kind of sports psychology as well as the nutrition chapters. We'll go 7 through 10. We have two lectures on the website already from our registered dietitian, Carly. We had her on. It's great. She's a sports dietitian. Worked with both military performers as well as college athletes of all sports. So she's great. We have those lectures as well as a chapter review. Then obviously we'll do some Q&A on Thursday with those. So make sure you kind of go over those chapters in the book this week and in the study guide to make sure you don't have any questions. Today we'll continue with more of our kind of practical applied work. So we'll start off looking at a few of the sample videos and then Chris will put together, and then we'll go into some just advanced programmer design, our needs analysis. We have Eric talking about his athlete, which I think is a cool one because he's going to be going over skateboarder, kind of a different sport, kind of your non-traditional when you think of strength and conditioning. So I think it'll be dope to go over that. Now let's go ahead. We'll get into our kind of our needs analysis prep as well as the program. So again, we're going to go with Eric today. Eric is working with he's going to go with the skateboarder. Let me share the screen. I'll pull it up, Eric, and then I'll let you kind of jump in and kind of take over. So we'll go into our needs analysis. Then he's gonna go into the workout and how it looks. All right, so I'll flip it over to you, Eric.
Yeah, so I got a pro skateboarder. So the only reason I did this was because this past year, skateboarding was actually considered in the Olympics. So it's kind of nice. So he's a friend of mine. So I wrote a lot of context for you guys. So he's a 30-year-old professional skateboarder. He has a long history of lifting. He has a lot of history of ankle sprains. He used to be in the Armor Ranger Battalion. So while I was in the infantry, he was in the Ranger Battalion. Not only that, he's a tactical shooting competitor, and then he's a professional skateboarder, and he also does BJJ. He's like a purple belt. So he's fairly active. So his thing is he just needs to get stronger and faster during the off season. And with skateboarding, it does all the energy systems. So that's the good thing about skateboarding. And then in skateboarding, you do all sagittal plane. All planes of motion. So frontal, sagittal, and transverse. And then I wrote out the common injuries. So it's usually ankle sprains and fractures, hand, wrist, or shoulder injuries. So fractures, sprains, and strains when they fall on their hands face first. Other injuries can be like concussion and TBI and trunk strains. So if they don't do any like transverse exercises, it can kind of like mess up their low back and stuff like that. And then so what I took for training consideration is I mostly wrote out just like off-season stuff. So like mostly mobility, strength exercises, a lot of power and plyometric drills, because skateboarding is a really cognitive and physical sport. So you're working everything simultaneously from like as you're doing. It depends on also too the type of skateboarder. So he's a skate park skateboarder. So him is more about like going long, like about 45-second bouts, and like just pushing out a lot of power and movement as he's rolling around. So what I stuck with him is obviously he has a lot of activity already that he does besides just practice skateboarding, besides like doing tactical shooting, because that they do like sandbags and like crazy stuff. And then like he also does BJJ with his kids. So he told me he has like about maybe like 3 times a week. So I decided just to keep it total body, only because it makes sense. Like why would I want to do like upper and lower? I could if he can afford me a 4th day, but total body more because it fits in his lifestyle. So that's the consideration I took when it came to my needs analysis. So I kind of wrote out just a day. So I'm actually going to finish out the week, hopefully by the end of today. So if I'll send you the week if you guys want it. Day one, like I broke it down like exos, like I'm exos biased to a certain degree, not totally. So like, and like old school strength and conditioning. So like I wrote out appetizer. So that's what a warm up to me is, like how they do like food. That's the best way I describe it. So a warm up, I have 10 to 15 minutes. I like to do general conditioning. So just something to get his heart rate up. So I give them their choice of what they want to do. And then I have like a little bit of mobility and like cognitive stuff that he could do that requires his whole body. So like forward lunge and a lat stretch, and then a bear crawl and a duck walk. I just have them do the whole appetizer, just run it at least twice. And if we have extra few time, depending on the session, I would have them go 3 times. And then on the meat and potatoes, I kind of have the way I wrote it is it's kind of like the normal that we do in strength and conditioning, A1, B1, you know, I mean, A1, A2, B1, B2. So just so you guys can see that. So the first one I have is a dumbbell snatch with the box jump. I know I have like a lot of sets and reps for it, 5 on each side. The way I have it, I know it's like I mean, I hate calling it, I really hate functional fitness, but this is, this is one of those that's like, he's pushing power with hand-eye coordination while it's at the same time jumping on a box. So that's why I have him just do lightweight and then just focus on just jumping on the box to be fully explosive. So he just does 5 on each arm, so a total of 10. And then right after he's done with that, then I have him for just 3 sets of the 4 that I have planned out. I have him do a forward lunge with the lat stretch. And so it's power. I have the rest about 90 seconds to 2 minutes per every set that he does. And that way he gets enough rest time to kind of repeat the same amount of power output that I'm looking for. And so the second one is kneeling push-up with a med ball throw. I'm more focused on about throwing the ball hard on this exercise, and I have about 10 reps. So I have like little platforms for him to land on when he throws the ball forward. And this is more about like injury prevention. That's why I picked it, because obviously a lot of skaters fall on their hands. So this will prepare him to a certain degree when he's gonna, let's say, fall on his face, hopefully. You know, he's like, oh, okay, I'm good, you know? So that's the way I looked at it. So like I just wrote out the same concept of 4 sets of 10 reps. And that's just a single exercise. I don't wanna tag it to something else. It makes sense just to do it as one exercise. That way it's just focusing on just the landing, the push-up position, and, you know, throwing the ball as hard as he can. The third one that I have is a single leg lateral hurdle hops. So obviously I use the SKL, like the little, I forgot what they're called, but it's more about like just making up like a little small obstacle course type thing. And then just having him, you know, learn to land and then stabilize his foot. And it's also like a cognitive exercise, and it's more about stability and making sure he doesn't get ankle sprains because he has a history of it. So I'm making sure that, you know, he properly gets good proper landing and everything, so that way he does it well. So it's just 2 sets. It's nothing crazy, because the thing after that, then I'm going to do energy system development. So that's where I'm really going to kill him. So for the fourth one, I have assault bike sprints. So I have 5 sets of 45 seconds with a 5-second sprint. So he's gonna go out for 5 seconds as hard as he can, and then rest for 45 seconds and just do it again. So it's just gonna be ongoing. I just care about the output and then the amount of rest time he does, so that way to see either wattage or calories of how much he's pushing out per each one. So I'll measure it based off that. And that's like 5 sets, so that's like a good number. So after he's done, I'll just let him rest for like maybe about 3 to 5 minutes, just so you get backups, because then that's when I start doing the strength. So I know this one is a little weird, the row chop press. It's like 3 exercises in one, but obviously, like I said before, it's all about rotation, and it's as close as I can get, like using a cable machine to kind of combine a different amount of exercise, because it's just like when he does runs, he does a bunch of tricks. You know, that if you ever play Tony Hawk, you know how you can do so many tricks as you're going back and forth. So it's the same concept of just making sure he can do 3 exercises at once. So while like getting strength, and not only that, looking out for his torso. That's the main thing. I'm just trying to get a lot of core activation with this hand, with this foot, with anything with what I wrote out. And then I just have a 90-second rest. And then the next thing I have is a banded dumbbell row. So you know how we do chaos push-ups on a squat bar? That's what I have, like a really strong band. And then, well, he has one hand on it. I just make it high enough that it fits his height. And then all he does is just try to keep all points of contact downward, making sure his hip doesn't rotate when he's pulling to his chest, making sure the elbow is not too far out. So that one's just all about stability and strength at the same time. So I want him to think while he's doing this. So again, it's all about injury prevention from the core and all over the body. So I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt. And then the dessert is just usually I would, on a total body, I do this with almost everyone. I either work on show off, doing muscles to show off, but for him, I want to maintain his flexibility. So, luckily for me, I can do about an hour and a half of training with him. So I have time to actually do actual cool down stretch. Because usually, like with a lot of athletes that I've experienced watching or that I've got to train, even general population, is like, that's the one thing I noticed usually misses in the weight room, is usually the coaches just tell them to go do their own stretching. Like if I have the time, I'm going to sneak it in, or I put it in the actual workout, but I actually have the time. So I'm going to spend some time like doing some actual stuff. So like I did like usually they call them scorpions, but I did a twisted cross. So, it's just flexibility from the foot all the way to the chest. So he just focused on one side. Exactly like we did the workouts, all shoulder, legs, and lats. So I just based my cool down stretch off of that. Just like a little small circuit to lower his heart rate, and I just take the time for him to tell me about his day after, I did the whole crazy stuff at the beginning and at the end and at the middle. Any questions?
My bad, it was muted. It's hard to unmute when I'm when the screen recording for some reason.
No, you're good. You're good.
Cool. But no, man, it's solid, man. I love your explanation of everything a lot. And I would say I probably had about 3 or 4 questions. I'm pretty sure you answered 2 to 3 of them throughout. So that's great. I was gonna ask you like how long is the sessions typically? I was gonna say that you must be working them getting in through an hour, but it makes a lot more sense when you said an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Yeah. That's why I have like specific rest time and everything.
Yeah, that's great. I like to warm up into the work and the cool down, and kind of the approach you're taking with the meat and potatoes. You're going kind of explosive power things first, then kind of getting into kind of like I would consider probably like anaerobic capacity with salt bike sprints. Yep, and then getting into some strength and hypertrophy. Yeah, so I kind of like it. I mean, it may not only does it make sense just if I'm listening to it myself, it also makes sense. Even lining it up with the CSCS prep, kind of even test order. You look at chapter 13, 14, it works out in that order of your most explosive and anaerobic first down to your volume last. So I like that. I like kind of adding in that dessert, and that's a great one. They call it dessert. Chris uses fluff as show up. It's the same thing. Like this is pretty much based on what their either aesthetic goals are or what their kind of that extra need. Like, somebody wants to go their biceps. So like you mentioned, for this guy, he's doing a whole lot. So that flexibility is going to be important. I like that. I like mapping out your stretches and mobility, because for somebody like this who's doing so many different things, like you need to know what I like that you're focusing on shoulders, lats, legs, etc., and not just kind of like, all right, we're gonna slow the heart rate down now.
No, every piece has a thing, because the funny thing is most of my clients like to be educated, and Exos is like all about education. Like our goal is always to teach enough that our clients or people that we train don't need us anymore. So exactly. And not only that, this guy knows a lot too of training. So he like every time I show him the program, he like questions everything, and he looks through the program after I'm done with it to be like if he has any questions or if he wants to add in stuff. Yeah. So because he's CSCS certified too.
Oh, that's amazing. Those are the best type of client. They keep us on our game, but they also are open to listening and learning. To learn more. Yeah, that's dope. That's dope, man. I was gonna say, going back to the needs analysis. Yeah, this is just I'm genuinely curious. So, I'm sorry. So when it comes to energy systems here, Is there like, what would you say, kind of like the percentage breakdown? Is it pretty even throughout ACPC, glycolytic, and oxidative, or like if you had to kind of maybe give a percentage or like ratio of the three, how much of each is being used?
Actually, I can actually say that it's 20% on the ATP-PC. The glycolytic is at least 60, and the oxidative is 40.
Okay.
Like that's like it would all depend on the trick that the person's doing, and obviously the runs are about 45 seconds, so it's more like 60% of his glycolytic. The oxidative part that comes in is more like the combination of tricks that he's doing, and the amount of time it gets. Like they're doing like a whole bunch. You know how like in Tony Hawk, you take your sweet ass time getting up there and you come down. Yeah. So that's where it kind of plays along, but it's mostly glycolytic.
That makes sense. And I would say the ATPC probably just kicks in like on those super sudden explosive moves, kind of here and there. Exactly. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And how if at all does kind of like, are you making this program? And I know you said you're gonna give me a full week too eventually, so we'll talk more, but are you more tailoring it to skateboarding primarily, or would you say this program is gonna help him with all three, BJJ as well as shooting competition as well?
I would think it would help him with all three, because like even shooting competition, you still like, even though it's all about stress under fire. Yeah. So they're gonna smoke him first before like they go. So his ability to be able to do like the way that it's planned, it encompasses not just that. Like even fighters, it's more about like the same thing. It's, even though it's BJJ and most of the fighting is on the ground, it's more or less I'm doing a complicated total body workout that's just tailored to each like component of a workout. So like you said before, the power, the energy system development, and the strength at the end. I like to get out of the way what he's already good at the beginning, and then the strength portion is more or less like after he's done all that work, like his endurance kicks in. So like how well can he manage all that amount of volume that I'm throwing at him? So.
That's perfect. My last question, and I'll open it if anyone else does, is I know I see here he said needs to get stronger faster in the off season. What does the season look like here? Out just guessing, I would assume that they could be pretty year round. Is there, well, I guess it's based on weather too, but what typically is the skateboarding season like, and kind of how does programming vary from off season and season?
Yeah, so it's kind of like theirs is usually depending on always a summer and a spring. So that's when their season starts. So it's more like not so much in the winter, unless you go to a place that's all year round. Like if you go to California weather, they're pretty much gonna be doing events all year. So it's gonna be a workout like this, like just basic bare bones. If it was in California. And just like keeping it this way, making sure they don't get hurt. And then the on season, off season, like when they go like in Hawaii, guys, I know there's competitions there, in Japan, obviously, because skateboarding's big there, Australia. It's all about the summer and the spring. So from what I understand, that's like when I start like doing less of this and doing more like strength, preventional stuff, and a lot more energy system development, not so much power. Because at that point is like, I don't want to exhaust them. It's just more like just doing enough bare bones of energy system development on the season, and then doing more strength work. So at least they're more durable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, so it just varies where they're at location wise.
Okay, that means a lot, man. I bet it. Californians probably have an advantage.
Yeah, they do, man. It's all year round. Perfect weather.
Kind of reminds me of like football. We always joke like the speed is in the South, and it's got to like you can't be outside running hundreds in New York like in the winter. But no, that's dope, man. Any questions, Devin and Remy? Any questions in general when it comes to this program or the needs analysis?
I don't have any. I'm all good too. This is a good program.
All right, solid. So yeah, again, and it looks good. So yeah,
I mean, I learned a lot. So
yeah, I think it's dope, and yeah, I think it's so good, like because obviously, like needing all three energy systems, and then kind of like this, it's not an energy system, but this fourth component that's so important in the sport like this, which would be the cognitive component, especially with shooting too. I think it's important, like having these. Again, this, we're big on making sure we do the basics or do the basic exercises, compound movements. But in a sport like this, you got to get kind of funky. You got to have a snatch jump. You might have a cognitive drill where he doesn't know what's coming because they need that just as much. So I think it's good that you kind of like show that like a sport like this, like being strong is very important, but that cognitive awareness is just as important from them. In shooting, missing a shot, or in this missing a timing on a landing, so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's real solid there. I like that a lot. Cool. So what I wanted to do today, just to finish up class. I think we have these analysis from Danielle. I might wait till next week when she can be on. What I wanted to do anyways, because we went kind of long on Thursday's call anyway, and didn't get to do it. I was gonna say maybe we could. I was thinking maybe we could go over. We'll go over a couple questions from chapter 4. We'll go through chapter 4 through 6. We didn't get to go through the questions Thursday, did we, Eric? From the study guide?
No, we did not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So yeah, we'll go through chapters 4 through 6, just the study guide questions. And then we'll, if we have some time, we'll go through like 10 more study questions from the back of our study guide.
Yeah, because I think we just did questions at I think Devin emailed Chris.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
went over those.
exactly.
Yeah, make sure you check those out too.
Those are good. What he remembered.
Yeah, that was great that you remember those. They helped us a lot. We went through them on the call last week. But all right, so let's go ahead and get on it. We'll go chapter 4 questions.